take place across the country are intended to commemorate young Kenyans who lost their lives during the 2024 Gen Z anti-government protest and to demand justice and accountability for the victims.
Tarehe 25 June. Kufikia sasa hakuna notisi yoyote. Kama kawaida sheria inasema lazima upatie polisi notisi ya siku 3. Sasa hatujapata notisi yoyote kusema kwamba kutakuwa na maandamano ili kama kikosi cha salama tungeweza kupanga.
Elsewhere, youth movement from Cherengani in Trans Nzoia County has distanced itself from Gen Z protest scheduled for tomorrow.
Tuambie viongozi, hiyo pesa ambayo mnatumia kama goons, inatakikana kwamba hiyo pesa iletwe tuunde kitu inaitwa empowerment Trans Nzoia kwa ujumla. Tushikane kama vijana tuendelee mbele.
In Ruiru, Kiambu County, another group of young people under the One Tribe, One Nation Gen Z movement umbrella has denounced the planned protest, saying it has been hijacked by politicians.
There shall be no Gen Z's protest on Thursday, 25th June 2026. And we repeat it again. There shall be no Gen Z's protest on Thursday. Gen Z's power! Power! On Thursday, 25th of June 2026, we encourage all Kenyans to commemorate the day peacefully.
Danton Indande, Lunchtime News.
In other news, persons with disabilities have been urged to take advantage of constitutional protections that guarantee their full participation in the electoral process, including seeking elective leadership positions. Speaking at a capacity building forum at the Njue National Polytechnic, Njue Disability Network chairperson John Kabatha noted that many PWDs remain unaware of opportunities available to them, including the right to contest elective positions. He challenged elected and nominated leaders living with disabilities to champion the interest of all citizens while serving their communities effectively.
Where we have a challenge up to date, and we are still going to continue roping over this one, is about persons with disability, where we are talking of the special seats. This is about nomination. We are not supposed to be left behind as tools to be used by the political parties. Because now the slots of these nominations, they are always given to the political parties, expected to be given as rewards to the persons who worked for the party. Yet we have the capacity. When elected, you need also to represent your people and also your community. Now, because when you have been nominated or elected, you don't represent the disability, you represent your community.
Still keeping up with that bid, the government has launched a community-based inclusive development framework, training manual and booklet aimed at strengthening the inclusion of persons with disabilities in development. Speaking during the launch in Nairobi, Principal Secretary for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs, Joseph Motari, said the initiative will help translate disability-inclusive policies into practical action at the grassroots level. The framework seeks to promote coordinated support for persons with disabilities across sectors, including health, education, social protection, livelihoods, and community development. Motari emphasized the importance of involving persons with disabilities in decision-making processes and called on county governments to integrate disability inclusion into their planning, budgeting, and service delivery programs.
The CBID framework we are launching today provides practical guidance for translating disability-inclusive policies into action at the grassroots level. The booklet complements these efforts by providing accessible information that raises awareness on disability rights, inclusion, and available community support services. Success of community-based inclusive development depends on the meaningful participation of persons with disabilities themselves. Nothing should be planned for persons with disabilities without their active involvement. As government, we remain committed to working closely with county governments, organizations of persons with disabilities, civil society, faith-based organizations, development partners, academia, and the private sector to ensure the successful implementation of the CBID framework across the country.
Elsewhere, the residents of Mukuru Kwanjenga have staged protest against what they describe as the illegal development of a disputed parcel of land by private developers, despite an existing court order directing all parties to maintain the current situation. Carrying copies of the court order, the aggrieved residents marched to Villa Police Station in Embakasi Sub-County, accusing police officers of failing to enforce the court directive. The residents are demanding immediate police intervention, arguing that authorities have neglected their responsibility to uphold the law and protect the contested land from further encroachment.
Wakati ubomozi ilikuwa imefanyika, sisi kama wakazi wa Mukuru Kwanjenga hapa tulienda kotini. Tulienda High Court. Na tulipofika High Court, tulipewa conservatory order ya kurestrain wale wenye tuliwapeleka kotini.
Kipengele namba 10 kuanzia 10 mpaka 13 zinakataa, haifai hao wale tuko nao kwa mbao, haitakikani waendelee kujenga hapa. Hata haifai wakae na sisi.
Sisi tunaomba serikali ambayo inasimamia wale wametumwa hapa kama maaskari ama maOCS, wanatakiwa wafanye kazi yao.
Sisi kama wana Mukuru Kwanjenga tumefika hapa kwa amani, tunataka tuingie hapa police station Villa. Tukumbushe OCS wa hapa. Hii court order uko nayo, akubali.
To Kakamega now, where leaders and stakeholders have warned that protecting Kenya's rainforest is no longer a choice but a national emergency needed to safeguard the country's ecological system. The remarks were made in Kakamega by leaders who called for urgent action to protect the country's remaining natural forests. Kenya's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Programme, Ida Odinga, urged communities living around forests to take the lead in protecting ecosystems. Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Deborah Mulongo, emphasized the importance of planting indigenous trees as part of government's efforts to achieve its targets of planting 15 billion trees by the year 2032.
Protecting existing forests, restoring degraded ecosystem, and empowering communities and young people. Without Kakamega forest, would not have rivers like River Yala. Without Kakamega forest, rivers like River Zoya would not be what it is today.
The rains bless our land. I call upon every Kenyan in your homes, schools, churches, farms, and public spaces to plant trees, especially the indigenous trees, as well as the fruit trees that nourish our children. It is the fulfillment of His Excellency the President's directive to plant 15 billion trees by 2032, raising our forest cover to 30%.
Still in Kakamega, widows from Marama Central Ward in Butere constituency, Kakamega County, have raised concerns over alleged discrimination, mistreatment and exploitation following the passing on of their husbands. The widows are now appealing to the government and civil society organizations to intervene and help protect their rights and welfare. They spoke in Eshianini during a visit by Kakamega businessman and philanthropist Boniface Ngashira, who supported them with food donations. Ngashira called on the government to come up with sustainable solutions and establish proper programs aimed at empowering widows and improving their livelihoods within the community.
Moto mingi sana. Huko nyumbani wananyanyaswa, mambo na shamba, alafu pia mambo na matibabu pale kwenye hospitali. Wengi wao mama ni wagonjwa na hawana yule mtu ambaye anaweza wasaidia, mambo na kurejesta kwenye SHA. Na venye unajua mtu akienda kwenye hospitali unaambiwa kwamba ulilipia SHA kwa mwaka mzima.
Sasa upande wa mashamba, watoto wetu hawasomi, pesa zenu wa jamii walisimamisha, hatujui sisi tutaishi aje na tutakula nini. Wenzetu wanapata shida, ni wagonjwa, hatuhudumiwi vizuri. Ukienda kwa mtu anataka kunyanyasa umulipe ndiye akutibu.
Upande wa mashamba tunahangaika sana. Unapobaki kwa boma utapata jirani amesongesha kweli mpaka, na ukiongea atakwambia utanilipa nini.
Now, health experts and community health promoters say Kenya remains prepared to tackle pandemics, including Ebola, despite the shrinking donor funding. Speaking during the 3rd National Community System Strengthening Knowledge Forum held in Naivasha, stakeholders noted gains made in addressing HIV, AIDS and TB were being eroded due to the shrinking donor funding. This emerged during the 3rd National Community System Strengthening CSS Knowledge Forum held in Naivasha and attended by community health promoters from across the country.
As communities, we're not complaining. What we are asking is how do we collaborate with government and how do we work together as communities to make sure that our health systems are resilient.
I think with the shrinking resources of the donor funding, communities are getting hard hit than the health systems. But one thing I know is that if we cannot consistently continue to fund communities to do advocacy and ensure governments are stepping in where the donors have left the gap, and if we cannot support communities to access these services, then we are going to lose the fight.
We are talking about how we can build the resilience of our health systems and our community systems. And when we talk about resilience, we are talking about the capability of our health systems to prepare for a pandemic.
Moving on, Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi has been conferred with the International Imminent Peace Ambassador Award by the International Association of World Peace Advocates, that is IAWPA, in recognition of his leadership and development initiatives in the county. IAWPA spokesperson Emmanuel Njue described Wamatangi's tenure as one marked by monumental accomplishment, including or citing the governor's achievements in education, infrastructure and social development since taking office. Wamatangi attributed the honor to the collective efforts of Kiambu residents and county staff.
We have dedicated ourselves to serve the people of Kiambu with humility and also with commitment, and using principles and values that are not only treasurable here on earth but also in heaven. On the education sector, we have successfully built, operationalized, and are now running 512 ECDE schools in this country, built in 3 years in our county in Kiambu.
By extension, we have so much good news about you, particularly on the SDG 4 that talks about education. Our good news are spread around the continental base of Africa, both on sub-regional and regional.
Elsewhere, residents of the Rua village in Egembe, North Meru County are calling on the Kenya Wildlife Service KWS to urgently intervene following repeated invasions by elephants that have destroyed crops and left families counting losses. The residents say the elephants, believed to be straying from the nearby Meru National Park, have been wreaking havoc in farms at night and feeding on crops that were nearly ready for harvest, raising fears over food insecurity. The locals are urging KWS to put in place effective measures to control the movement of the elephants and prevent them from accessing farms and residential areas, arguing that existing interventions have not been sufficient to address the jumbo problem.
Lakini karundi mara ya pili tukasema Mungu ametujalia, mimea ikamea na ikazaa. Sasa tulikuwa tumepata mazao ya kulisha watoto wetu, lakini hatuna kitu sahi. Ulikuwa unachukua mahindi yako, unachomea, unarostia mtoto wako, lakini sahi hatuna kitu.
Nataka kuambia serikali hivi, hao watu wa KWS waangalie hii ndovu inatoka wapi, kwa sababu inatokea hapa chini. Kama wamefungulia ndovu zao, wakuje waangalie mahali ndovu iko, wakuje na wasukue ndovu zao. Na tunaomba sasa hata MP ambiwe hivi na MCA waangalie, waende waongee na hao KWS, wakuje waangalie hii machamba vile yaangaliwa, waangalie mashamba yote kutoka Nata kukuja huku, mahindi, marawa, kila kitu imemalizwa.
And to Ebola preparedness now, where Dr. Frederick Eyase is principal researcher at KEMRI's Center for Virus Research, says early preparedness and strategic communication are key in fighting the spread of Ebola virus. Eyase, who spoke to Channel 1, says the government is right on track in establishing quarantine centers as well as building the capacity of health personnel and health systems in Ebola surveillance.
The Ebola virus has 6 different strains. They include the Zaire virus discovered in DR Congo in 1976 and which remains the most virulent. Sudan virus discovered in Sudan in 1976. Reston virus discovered in Virginia, USA in 1989. Thai forest virus discovered in Ivory Coast in 1994. Bundibujo virus discovered in Uganda in 2007, and most recently, Bombali virus discovered in Sierra Leone in 2018. According to a principal researcher at KEMRI's Center for Virus Research, Dr. Frederick Eyase, of all 6 strains of Ebola, 3 have resulted in disease outbreaks: the Zaire, Sudan, and most recently Bundibujo.
The nature of viruses is that they evolve. You never know in future.
The researcher warns that countries within the region are not safe, although at a lower risk. However, they need to put in place measures to prevent any eventualities.
No place is safe from any virus, and it's by, as we have said, because sometimes ecosystems go across borders, and also the nature of travel.
Dr. Eyase says Kenya is on the right track in putting in place both preventive measures through surveillance and early detection, as well as responsive measures through the establishment of quarantine centers were an outbreak to occur.
What the government is doing is right, in establishing areas that then if there is a problem, there are areas that can handle the problem, the outbreak if it comes in here. So the public should relax.
He is at the same time urging environmental conservation measures that ensure that contact between wildlife and humans is reduced.
It is to sort of respect the borders. The wildlife have certain pathogens that might become zoonotic or might cross into humans, some of which are unknown. That needs to be avoided.
The researcher warns that while there are Ebola virus strains that have never resulted into infections, the ongoing environmental degradation and clearance of forests coupled by the evolving nature of viruses could result in infections in future.
It's better to be ready so that if an outbreak happens, then you have the infrastructure to deal with the outbreaks.
He says the Ministry of Health and public health authorities, together with researchers at KEMRI, are working on ensuring that Kenyans are safe.
So the public, first of all, should not be scared about Ebola. Ebola is not like, SARS-CoV.
Judith Akolo, The Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, Homa Bay County Women Representative Joyce Bensouda has urged political leaders to empower Boda operators through development initiatives instead of mobilizing them to instigate political violence. Speaking during the launch of a 950,000 shillings Boda shade at Odoro Trading Center in Kabondo Kasipul constituency, she called for an end to the use of riders as political goons and emphasized the need to improve their economic welfare.
We are saying no to violence to Boda people. Their work is to empower themselves. Their work is to enlighten the community. Their work is to grow. Their work is to marry and settle with their families. Their work is to ferry children home.
Kulingana na watu wa siasa, kuna watu wengine wanatumia watu wa bodaboda ati waende wafanye ufujo tukipata mahali penye kuna function, wanatuma watu wa bodaboda ati waende watoe vita hapo. Tuliongea kama watu wa bodaboda, chairmen wote wa bodaboda. Ati this time round hakuna kitu mtu wa siasa atakuja kuchukua watu wa bodaboda.
Kwa nini tusichafue hii kazi yetu ambayo tunafanya iwe kazi ya uhalifu? Bodaboda si uhalifu, bodaboda ni kazi kama kazi zingine.
Moving on, stakeholders in the health sector have called for increased investment in the health sector to ensure every citizen accesses quality and affordable services. The stakeholders called on the private sector to complement government efforts in the provision of healthcare and the achievement of universal healthcare. The calls were made during the unveiling of the 4th MP Shah Hospital Satellite Clinic in Karen, an initiative aimed at bringing quality and affordable healthcare services closer to communities.
We firmly believe that healthcare should be nearer to the people. People don't need to commute distances to come and access good quality healthcare. And keeping that in mind, this hub medical center is very significant in our strategy to provide quality and affordable healthcare.
It's always a good opportunity to invest in healthcare. After all, it's the healthcare of the population that expands and grows the economy of any country.
The world has evolved, and you have to bring in experiential as well as other facilities that is required by the community.
Still on health, the Ministry of Health has been urged to expand the scope of medical coverage for people with sickle cell disease under the newly established Social Health Authority SHA, with stakeholders calling for comprehensive outpatient care. Speaking during the commemoration of World Sickle Cell Day in Uasin Gishu County, a medical officer at the academic model providing access to health care, AMPATH, Dr. Alex Gashoya, acknowledged that while SHA has made commendable strides in covering inpatient cost for sickle cell patients, substantial gaps remain in daily management. Dr. Gashoya also revealed that the government is currently piloting an infant screening program in regions flagged with high prevalence rates to ensure early diagnosis and specialized treatment from birth.
SHA is very helpful, but I will really appreciate if it could stand in when it comes to drugs, and also if it can cater for us.
Youths that are affected with the sickle cell disease require a lot of support, and especially a blood donation. And so we want to call on the youth and on all of us who are able to do so, that we may be able to donate blood sufficiently so that these youths can be able to be supported.
Marriages is one of the ways to help as a policy not a policy, as a way of curbing the growth of the disease.
Now, a section of traders in Trans Nzoia and Bungoma counties have come out to oppose some proposals in the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill 2024, claiming it aims to increase taxes on tobacco products. The bill, which is currently undergoing public participation, seeks to regulate the industry and safeguard the health well-being of the end users.
Na kwamba hii bill ambayo imepitishwa kwa Senate and it is now going to Parliament so that it can be the law. It is going to impact harshly. Itaenda kutu affect sana sisi kama wafanyabiashara.
Naomba kama wabunge wetu muangalie sana hii bili ya tobacco, mkipitisha kwamba tutalipa ushuru mara pili, hapo tutaondokea hizo biashara na pia sisi tutakuwa tumejigandamiza.
High number of people who are employed on this business are youth and those local traders businesses and those who are in town. So we request the government and we appeal.
To the coast now, where social organizations are calling on the government to patch security gaps and close loopholes to deal with abuse and arbitrary disappearance of children. The calls came during the launch of the Kilifi Social Justice Center in Kikambala, where stakeholders called for multi-agency cooperation in taming the vice. Community members are in the meantime being urged to report any cases in a timely manner and provide evidence as opposed to trying to solve the matters domestically, which often puts victims in psychological turmoil.
Data inasema kwamba mwaka huu tumekuwa na shida kubwa kwa sababu watoto 534 wamepotea.
Tunaona watoto vile kina mama pia wakidhulumiwa haki zao, wengine hata wakiuawa. Kwa hivyo katika maeneo kama ya hapa Kilifi hivi majuzi tulimuona yule msichana mdogo wa miaka 9, ile hali ambayo aliweza kupitia.
Wito wangu kwa jamii ni kupeleka hizi kesi katika stesheni za polisi ili zikaweze kuchunguzwa.
Elsewhere, residents of Murang'a County are being educated on their rights and available compensation mechanisms in the event an insurance company becomes insolvent. The Policyholders Compensation Fund has launched a 5-day awareness campaign in Murang'a County to educate residents on insurance protection. The initiative seeks to inform policyholders on the steps to take in an insurance company collapses. Officials say the campaign will enhance public understanding of compensation procedures and policyholder rights. Residents are being encouraged to seek information and safeguard their insurance interests.
We shall continue publicizing our residents with regards to the content and scope of the PCF, which is very crucial. As you know, insurance is not what you call the uptake of insurance is not very high sometimes. It's largely because of lack of information. So if government departments come down to the ground, it's going to what you call change the general operating environment.
And we are here for a 5-day sensitization forum. Tomorrow we are meeting the matatus. On Thursday we are going to meet the insurance agents. Then on Friday we are going to meet other stakeholders, which will include the Ngaos, the women, persons living with disability. We are also going to meet the youth, the cooperative, and other groups.
Now, Tharaka Nithi County government is now set to have functioning county government offices for the first time since the advent of devolution 13 years ago. The building that has been under construction for the last 10 years is now undergoing final touches, ushering in a new dawn for the county. The members of County Assembly, led by the chair of the Budget Committee and Karingani MCA Mureithi Gaturo, toured the building, inspecting the ongoing works before finishing and commissioning in the 2026-27 financial year, which starts next week. Gaturo said that despite the budgetary allocation from the county, the national government should honour its pledge and reimburse the county for the money to attend to other pressing needs. The county government is said to have invested about 300 million shillings in the completion of the offices.
Kaunti ya Tharaka Nithi ilikuwa mmoja wa zile zilikuwa zimepewa pesa na 454 million, lakini haijawahi letwa kwa sababu pesa ile iliishia pale na wakuleta, na sisi tukasema kama county government, governor akasema lazima tumalizie hii mjengo kwa budget zetu, tukaanza kuweka pesa.
Because of what the governor of Tharaka Nithi has achieved all this far, of course it has been combined efforts with the county assembly, that is the MCAs, because of course they have been involved in passing the budget.
Thanks to the people of Tharaka Nithi, thanks to the county assembly, all the money that have done that building is budgeted from within, and the county assembly has given us a lot of support because all the money is from our own source.
Very well, at about 27 minutes past the top of the hour, we are due for a fast break. But when we come back, I run you through a couple of more stories. We make sense of business. And later on, I will be telling you all about the FIFA World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. All of that and much more after this break.
Tia's not sitting very comfortably just at the moment, and they've given the ball away here. This is a 4-on-2 at this precise second. Into Holland it goes. He scored! Of course he scored! He's doubled Norway's lead. He missed a couple in the first half and there was no smiling then, but there is now.
You see Odegaard weigh up his options.
brilliant pass. Ruthless finish, as we've come to expect from Haaland.
I am Chef Ombachi. Today I'm cooking ugali na Ajab Premium Maize Meal. Boil water, done. Add Ajab Premium Maize Meal. Done. Grab your mwiko and stir the mixture. Enjoy the amazing aroma. Enjoy incredibly soft ugali. Done. Ingia ligi ya kipekee na Ajab Premium Maize Meal.
Good blocking there. There's a couple of half-hearted appeals. Tell you what, does Wolf lead with the elbow?
They'll take any help of any kind that they'll get at this moment, Keith. Senegal.
I'm not sure where the Norway left back is on his back. I don't see too much contact on him. Yeah, he hasn't lifted his elbow.
Honestly,
Wolf.
I'd be really shocked if that was given.
Yeah, I think the right decision to just play on. It does take a little bit of a whack, as I say. Maybe the height difference is the reason for that.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, MSME's Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya has strongly opposed Thursday's planned Gen Z demonstrations, terming them non-beneficial to the youth. The planned demonstrations have elicited mixed reactions across the political divide and the general public, with others, calling for the government to ensure peace prevails as youth exercise their constitutional right. Here's our reporter Michael Mwandiga with the planned protest wrap.
Sijui maandamano ni ya nini, kwa sababu hii maandamano haitusaidii. Unaona wale wafanya biashara wadogo vile umesema ndio wanaathirika kabisa tukiwa na maandamano, na unajua ya kwamba kama hawa wanaathirika hakuna insurance ambayo inaweza kuwasaidia. Ombi langu, hii nchi yetu ni nchi ya demokrasia. Ikiwa nchi ya demokrasia, tuna bunge, tuna watetezi wa kila mtu. Ukiwa na shida zako ambazo unaona asiangaziwe vizuri, unaenda kwa mbunge wako. Hao tuna mashirika mengi ambayo unaweza kuenda na upeleke matatizo yako na utasakika. Wapi hapo? Hapo karibu na
CS Wycliffe Oparanya speaking earlier today right here at the Broadcasting House. Moving on, Northeastern Regional Commissioner John Odhiambo Otieno has directed security agencies in Garissa County to conduct extensive operations to weed out criminals in Garissa town. Otieno spoke during a security meeting that brought together security chiefs and their juniors in the devolved unit where the rise of criminal gangs disturbing the peace needs to be urgently addressed. Security operations in the past 1 week have seen the arrest and arraignment of 140 suspects.
Security is the prerequisite for purposes of development. Without security, you will not realize development. And therefore, for us to be able to talk about development, we must make sure that the security of the county is top-notch.
Now, the National Construction Authority, NCA, has challenged the construction workforce across the country to consistently demonstrate high standards of integrity and accountability in the industry. This was revealed during a capacity building for the construction workforce in Nairobi region and its environs. NCA General Manager Research and Capacity Building, Dr. Crispus Ndinyo, pledged to roll out similar capacity building targeting all cadres of the construction workforce across the 47 counties. He said the initiative will enhance safety protocols and ensure compliance within the National Building Code, ultimately reducing structural failures.
We are here for a very noble event in terms of building capacity. This is a continuous activity. We are having the first inaugural activity here in Nairobi, but we plan to do it next year.
Particularly on call to the workers, if a building collapses when it's under construction, the number one victims are them, the construction workers. So they need to look into integrity. The work that you have been entrusted to do, are you doing it right?
These are the people who supervise all the works on site on a daily basis until they are over and handed over. As my predecessor has spoken about the integrity, we are all speaking about the safety, and we wish to make them become registered, because the moment they are registered, we are able to regulate them, and whenever we set them or they are sent or they get an opportunity to work in those construction sites, they are supervised by guys who are registered, and so we are able to safeguard the safety of our citizenship.
Now, as the 2027 general election approaches, technology and innovation experts have urged young people to embrace responsible use of artificial intelligence, AI, to prevent the spread of misleading or malicious information. Speaking to students at the Mount Kenya University who recently won various global innovation awards, innovation expert Donatas Njoroge said there has been a growing trend of individuals misusing AI to spread rumors and false information. He, however, encouraged young people, especially students, to harness technology for the benefit of the society, drive innovation, and also create employment.
AI can be very dangerous in terms of spreading rumors, propaganda. But used well, it can be used for the benefit to kill jobs, to gain employment, and to be able to improve our ratings globally as a country. Some repercussions of using AI negatively is that you're able not to differentiate between truth, half-truths, and even false. So by leveraging on using AI correctly, you're able to separate whatever is truthful, whatever is false.
Currently, we are living in the era of AI, and currently AI is being used for the bad. For example, you can be able to look on the aspect of image alteration, whereby a person is getting an image of a person, then being able to alter the looks and all that for it to appear like the person is somewhere else speaking on another thing which was not intended by the original person of the photo.
Artificial intelligence is also very important in terms of air quality monitoring,
It helps us to know which counties, which areas suffer the most when it comes to the quality of their air. And this is a really key problem, especially in the more industrialized counties of our country.
Very well, and from that AI story, we now cross over right here in Nairobi, where ODM party leader and Siaya Senator Oburu Odinga is meeting the Makau Mutua-led compensation panel at Power Center. He's currently addressing. Let's first of all listen in.
Well, Kenyans lost lives in the struggle for freedom. And I want to thank the President of Kenya for taking the responsibility and saying pole to all Kenyans who have suffered injustice since independence up to today. He is taking the burden on himself to say pole. Now, because a lot of Kenyans have died, those who did not live during the time of detention without trial might not know how many Kenyans died. Just in the dungeons of Njue house here, there was a hell there, where you sat there, you drank your own urine, you call it what? Defecated there, and you urinated there, and you drank your own urine, and people died under Njue house here. These were people who committed no criminal offense. They were fighting for independence, for freedom of our country. Some of them were detained without trial. Can you imagine you being taken to jail and thrown into dungeons there? You don't see light, and you don't even know when you will be released, because you don't know why you are detained. The only charge which is there is that for a long time, or over a long period of time, you have conspired with forces within and outside Kenya to overthrow the legally constituted government of Kenya. And you don't know how you are overthrowing the government of Kenya by simply saying that this is unjust. And you are there for years. A day turned into a month turned into a year, and a year turned into years. And you didn't know when you will come out of those dungeons of prison. And therefore, Kenyans have gone through the struggle. We bore our own brand. We took over, and we bore our own brand. The Chief Justice of the people has told you his part. He played a big part, and many, many Kenyans who are still alive played their part. One time I was in Eldoret, and we were opening an office, just opening an office in Eldoret. And when we started to talk, the late Moses Keino, who used to be a speaker of the National Assembly, stood up to speak. And then as he was giving the microphone to our...
Very well, those are live pictures from Power Center right here in Nairobi, where Dr. Oburu Odinga, the ODM leader, is currently meeting the Makau Mutua-led compensation panel. And among what he has talked about is that he has allowed the government in regards to the initiative of compensation, noting that this is something that has never happened in the country from the clamor for independence to in the 90s, where we were actually looking for our first constitution to date. But more in regards to that, we'll get that in our subsequent bulletin, but I've been able to get it that the names of the victims of protests listed to receive compensation will be made public and gazetted. Of course, Dr. Oburu Odinga there also had been rallying Kenyans to embrace this. Of course, a number of discussions that has emerged in regards to that compensation. More a little bit later. Moving on, the county government of Embu, in partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, has rolled out a food security program equipping learners with practical agricultural skills. Mbere South Sub-County County Chief Officer in charge of Agriculture, Njue, says the initiative will leverage the existing 4K clubs to teach best farm practices to boost productivity and nutrition in the county.
Katika umuradi, hii ni onyesho tu, ni kama model garden, but shule inaweza amua isichukue hii yote, bali ichague mmea ambayo ingependa kukuza chache, lakini ikuze kwa wingi. Tumezingatia pia mbinu za kisasa. Mnaona kuna climate change, so kwa hivyo ndio maana mbinu tofauti zimetumiwa kama zai beats, kuna mambo na planting basins, unaona hiyo multi-story, na pia mbinu tofauti za climate smart agriculture technologies.
Tunataka encourage even young children, kuna 4K young children kukulima, so that wakitoka ndio wakulima wa kesho, ili wakienda nyumbani wafunze pia wazazi jinsi ya kulima hivyo. Kwa sababu we encourage them from early. We want to train them kutoka mapema, wajue mambo ya kulima. Wanaone ukulima si kitu mbaya, ni kitu kizuri, kinaweza leta pesa.
Online cab company Little Cab has integrated its corporate invoicing platform with the Kenya Revenue Authority's electronic tax invoice management system, eTIMS. This will enable the automatic generation of eTIMS compliant invoices for all corporate clients, marking a significant step in the digitization of corporate mobility services in Kenya. KRA Assistant Commissioner eTIMS Tax Operations Caroline Washuka lauded the initiative, noting that increased adoption of eTIMS by the private sector players is critical to improving tax compliances and strengthening transparency across the economy. The tax agency rolled out the eTIMS in 2023 to stop tax evasion and make sure all business expenses are recorded correctly. This new system lets the KRA check transactions in real time.
I've plugged into their digital platform and had the eTIMS integration, so that when now they are able to invoice their clients, particularly corporate clients, the clients receive the eTIMS compliant invoice.
The conversation today is purely in reference to partnering with a mobility partner that is eTIMS compliant, and in this case is basically Little. Our business of corporate services carries across the multinationals to also the emerging and small businesses that are basically growing and upcoming in the markets.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back. Kenya has taken a major step towards addressing long-standing capacity constraints at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport following the signing of a 154.2 billion expansion agreement with China Road and Bridge Corporation. The project seeks to address growing passenger and cargo traffic at the country's busiest airport, which currently handles about 7.5 million passengers annually despite rising demand from tourism and regional travel. Trevor Ngendo with the details.
Merely an infrastructure project, it is a strategic national investment that will secure Kenya's competitiveness for generations to come.
Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Chicho says the expansion is designed to strengthen Kenya's position as a regional aviation, trade and logistics hub. The contract was signed by Aviation and Aerospace Development Principal Secretary Teresia Mbaika and CRBC General Manager Yu Xiandong, with Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Chicho witnessing the ceremony. This comes in the wake of renewed public scrutiny over procurement and financing arrangements. In response, the Ministry of Transport says the procurement process followed the completion of the JKIA master plan in February this year and included a competitive bidding process in which more than 40 firms participated in a pre-bid conference held in April, with evaluations conducted on both technical and financial criteria. The government says financing for the project is being structured through the Trade and Development Bank and the Africa Finance Corporation, with airport-generated revenues expected to play a key role in supporting the financing model. The planned modernization program is expected to be completed within 3 years. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
And from JKIA, we are now crossing over to the South Sea, the DCI Academy, where Nairobi Regional Police Commander, that is Isa Mahamud, had addressed the press in regard to security and more specifically the Gen Z protest tomorrow. Let's listen.
Aware of anything. The alleged commemoration, because I'm not aware of anything. The alleged commemoration, I told is supposed to take place on 25th. Under the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, the citizens are allowed to assemble, to picket, and to protest. Yes, the same is guided by Public Order Act, which says that you give a notification within not less than 3 days and not more than 14 days. So that the purpose of this notification is that we agree on the date, time, and the route, and the purpose of the demonstration, and the guidelines we're going to give, so that we avoid any inconveniences, because that right is not absolute, and there's no need to, to violate the rights of others. Consequently, we don't expect tomorrow any gathering.
The Nairobi Regional Police Commander saying they do not expect any gathering tomorrow, and of course mentioning that he is not aware of any protest tomorrow. But we will be keeping tabs with that development, and especially when it comes to tomorrow, as the Gen Z commemorate the 2nd anniversary of their Gen Z protest. But now let's switch gears. China on Tuesday rolled out a package of new measures aimed at expanding automobile consumption across the industrial chain, with a particular focus on reforms in auto circulation and steps to boost the auto market. This plus much more in our international business roundup.
A circular jointly issued by 9 departments, including the Ministry of Commerce, rolled out 17 measures to boost the auto aftermarket, covering areas such as orderly regulation of vehicle modification, support for the recreational vehicles, camping sector, new business model for classic cars, and the promotion of motorsports, driven by a growing consumer preference for outdoor leisure and road trips. Demand for RVs has surged to recent years, transforming the sector into a burgeoning new growth engine for both the auto and tourism industries. However, this booming market has also exposed infrastructure bottlenecks, highlighting an urgent need to improve road access and parking facilities to support the rising number of RVs owners. At the same time, China will optimize service supply, encourage brand, chain, and scale development of car rental business, and promote diversified service models such as returning rental vehicles in different cities and long-term leasing. Meanwhile, on the New York Mercantile Exchange, gold futures for August delivery fell 1.27% to settle at $4,149.40 per ounce, while silver future for July delivery dropped 5.36% to close at $62.070 per ounce. Deutsche Bank cuts its forecast for international gold prices in a report released on Tuesday. The bank noted that if U.S. Federal Reserve holds interest rates steady, its gold price targets for the third quarter of its year stands at $4,300 per ounce, a downward revision of more than one-fifth of its prior estimates. It also said that if the Fed raises interest rates 3 to 4 times, gold prices could slump to $3,800 per ounce. Finally, the West Texas Intermediate for August delivery decreased by 65 cents to settle at $73.21 a barrel on a New York Mercantile Exchange. Brent crude for August delivery lost 82 cents to settle at $77.08 a barrel on London ICE Futures Exchange. Ezekiel Owino reporting.
Time for the sports. England were held to a goalless draw by Ghana in the 2026 FIFA World Cup Group L encounter at Boston Stadium. Ghana resolute defense frustrated England throughout the contest, restricting them to their first shot on target in the 57th minute while posing a constant threat on the counter. The result keeps